All right, good afternoon, traders. Today is April 22nd, 2025. My name is John Kerrigan. I moderate the BYOB. I'm the lead instructor here at BYOBTrading.com. Let's go take a look at some charts today. Bear seemed to have crawled back to the cave. Maybe a little bit too much sunlight. I don't know. Maybe forgot his sunglasses. But a little bit bullish today here on SPY. Let's take a look at the 10-minute chart. 10-minute chart got a 10-minute uptrend coming into the close. A lot of consolidation here coming into the close. You can see a wave. We go under VWAP with a rubber band candle. Then we go up over VWAP with a rubber band candle. Then we come back underneath it just for a little bit. And then we pop back up over it. So a little bit of consolidation coming into the close. Should be a breakout tomorrow. Tesla reports tonight. We'll see what they want to do. Anyways, 10-minute uptrend coming into the close right there. Okay, 10-minute uptrends. Let's go with the 2-hour chart. 2-hour chart, we got candlesticks, yellow 3 EMA. It's up over the white 8 EMA. So crossover here. So 2-hour uptrend going into the close. Take a look at the daily chart. Daily chart, almost like bullish engulfing here. Higher low, higher high, closing inside the bearish trap, but under the falling 17. Still no longer in the lower third, so it's in neutral territory right now, still underneath this downtrend line. Okay, take a look at the game plan. Game plan for this morning was price over 516.90, bullish. So all we needed was a nice green candle to buy in on. So you had 3 brick of the first 5-minute candles, and you had a breakout. So we were bullish right out of the gate here. Gapping up. Bears never even filled the gap down here. Bears did fill the, Bulls did fill the bearish gap from yesterday over here. Nice work on the Bulls' part. They brought it up and they held the higher ground. Okay, but of course we saw the Bears do the same thing yesterday. They pushed it down and held the lower ground. So this looks like wavy consolidation right through here. Could be anybody's game tomorrow, whether we're going high or low. We got an all-time high anchored VWAP. I think that's what it is. Yeah, this blue line right here, can barely see it. There's the all-time high. I think that's the all-time high anchored VWAP right there. I'll have to put one on there and make sure that's where it is. Let me just take a look at the scratch real quick. Yeah, that's where it is. You can see the pink line right up there. So we came into contact with that all-time high anchored VWAP. Actually, I think that was the relief rally anchored VWAP. Where the all-time high is, anchored VWAP. Let's take a peek where that is. No, that's way up here. Okay, up near 550. All-time high anchored VWAP, way up there at 550. On the relief rally anchored VWAP was down here. All right, so there, yeah, right there. There's the all-time high anchored VWAP, way up there. Again, back to the game plan. All we needed was a green candle on the 10-minute chart. First candle they gave you was a buyable candle right there on the 10-minute. It was a tail candle with green body and then some body follow through right there. So 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. That's our flagship trade. That's our most basic flagship trade. Price action just rallies up over VWAP here and continues to stay up there until about looks like about 1:30. Then we had a little breakdown under VWAP, even broke the rubber band candle. So we had a brief 10-minute downtrend. Of course, that didn't last too much longer after breaking the rubber band candle. the bulls bought it back up, and then you had the machine trend right up here, back up over VWAP, breaking the rubber band candle to the upside here. So price pulls back to VWAP and then a little bounce right there. So the nice trade today was a 10-minute uptrend. If you traded the 10-minute uptrend and then sat on your hands for the rest of the day, you should be going home with maybe a couple daily goals. So nice work. I know a lot of the traders did make some goals today. Kind of encourage them to kind of keep their goals, not give it back in the trading. So I think a lot of them did go home with green or bigger accounts than what they started the day with. So there's SPY 10-minute uptrend into the close, 2-hour uptrend into the close, daily chart, still a downtrend. All right, still in a downtrend. We're still making lower highs and lower lows. We're just in neutral territory here on the scratch. You can see right here, we're no longer in the lower third. So we're just neutral, still underneath this downtrend line, still in a downtrend. It's just a label. But little bullish price action today after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red days in a row right there. So there's SPY. Let's take a look at QQQ. QQQ got the same candle closing inside the bearish trap under the 17. QQQ is in the lower third, so that's bearish. Still in a downtrend, okay, because it's making lower highs and lower lows. They'd have to take out these highs in order to negate the downtrend. They have made a higher low, all right, right here after 5 red days in a row. We'll see if they can put 3 green days together to get up over these highs. That would be back up here towards that 470 number. So there's QQQ. Game plan again for QQQ worked just like SPY. Again, you had price gapped up. They filled the bearish gap from yesterday. The bears never filled the bullish gap from today. All you needed was a solid green candle or a tail candle. Something with a tail was good. You just didn't want a wick, all right? Because a wick shows sellers are in control. So you needed a nice green candle. No spinning tops, no dojis, all right? So price action for QQQ worked as well. Nice 10-minute uptrend up until, about the same time. They all called it quits together and went to lunch together about 1:20, 1:30. They all went to lunch again. All right, what kind of calls and puts do we like? All right, so we like 3 DTEs, that's Friday, or 10 days till expiration next Friday. Options that are either $5 or $20 out of the money. Again, we like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP, and we like 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. All right, Tesla earnings tonight. So what did I trade today? Let's go take a look at what I trade. I bought a Google call right into the close. Traded some calls right here. All right, traded some 0 DTE calls, the 532 strike. Made 1,664 on those. Traded some little MicroStrategy right there. That's a little heavy in the Bitcoin on the MicroStrategy. Made $5 on that. April calls right here, 540 calls, made 537 there. More MicroStrategy, made $25 there. Little scalp. Lost some money on some puts right here. Thought they were going to come down, and I couldn't get any follow through after they broke that rubber band candle. They just kind of turned around. So here's some puts. I lost $170 on that trade, and I made about $65 on some calls, some 550 calls that are 10 days out, okay, on those. So that's it right there for me. So that winds up being about 2,100 for me for the day. Now my daily goal is I got 543 yesterday, and all I needed was 275. All right, for my daily goal, because that's 1%. I'm trying to do 1% per day. Of course, if you do 1% per day, all right, for the next 70 trading days, and you compound it each day, okay, what you're going to get is you double your account. Okay, so I made 2 daily goals yesterday and almost 10 today. I think I made 8. All right, 8 daily goals. I'm going to call it 8. I don't know if it is 8, but it's 2100, so pretty close to 8, maybe a little less. So my daily goal was 275. All right, was 270 yesterday, and I made 543. My daily goal today was 275, and I made 2100. So that's a nice day. All right, so I'll have a whole lot of excess to trade if I find a decent trade to sink that risk into right there. All right, so that's what happened for me today. Again, started this new 27K account, started it yesterday. All right, I'm off to a good start. All right, because I think I'm up almost 10% already. Only looking to get up 2%, but I'm already up, I think, close to 10%. So I'm really off to a good start. Just don't need to blow it. That's all. All right, gotta play it safe, manage my risk, manage my money. All right. So there's my schedule for this week. Okay, you can see I'm on week 1, day 1, day 2. We'll have about 2100. I'll put in there, and that won't show up till tomorrow when I input it later tonight. Okay, so you can see the trades that I made today right there. All right, that's my options. So I have 1 Google call, and I've got 18,500 puts that expire in 3 days. So we'll see what happens for tomorrow. Probably should have hedged those puts. I really didn't see that spike coming at the very end of the day. Surprise, surprise. That's what hedges are for. Surprises. Should have really hedged those puts. So that was the QQQ game plan. Again, on the QQQ, you can see down here in the lower third, that's bearish. Just take a look at FNGA. Again, like the others, higher low, higher high, closing inside a bearish trap under the falling 17, under this pink line, all-time high anchored VWAP, see the red dots, that's the falling 17. Under the midpoint right here, it's in quadrant 1, that's bearish. In a downtrend, making lower highs and lower lows. So that's a downtrend there. So nothing bullish going on today other than today's daily candle. Okay, that's about all we got. All right, a little bullish engulfing. It's coming off that spinning top doji candle right there. So there's FNGA. Let's take a look at IWM. All right, so IWM makes higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish cross, but under the falling 17, under this all-time high anchored VWAP. That's a pink line. Again, down in quadrant 1. So we're still bearish, still in a downtrend. All right. In order to negate the downtrend, they got to take out this high up here at the midpoint right there. So still in a downtrend, still bearish down here in quadrant 1. All right, so they had a green day. All right, one green day does not make a trend. All right, so SPY had a green day, QQQ had a green day. But again, that doesn't make a trend. Remember, prior 5 days were all red. So we'll see what happens here. I'm not seeing any big exciting news coming out on the markets here. Okay, we're all still waiting for the tariff hammer, tariff shoe, whatever you want to call it. We're waiting for that. All right, so the market does not like uncertainty, and that's what we got. Just a whole lot of uncertainty. We don't know what's going on. We don't know what the other leaders are doing. Really need to get them on the phone and get some answers, and then set up the tariffs the way you want to set them up. And then from there, we would have some certainty. Right now, we got no certainty. All right, so there's IWM, a.k.a. Russell 2000 right there. Let's take a look at Diamond Dow. This is the Dow Jones Industrial. Just like the others, higher low, higher high, closing inside a bearish trap. Okay, they all closed inside bearish traps. Underneath the red dots, falling 17, still in a downtrend, making lower highs and lower lows. Under a downtrend line, under the all-time high anchored VWAP. Again, in the lower third, that's bearish. All right? All right, you go up, you give it up, and more, that's bearish. All right, you go up and give it up, that's neutral. All right, they gave it up and more. They're in the lower third. So they're all of them are bearish All right, except for SPY, which just barely made the threshold for neutral. That's it. All right, so let's take a look at technicals. Technicals are kind of weird. Look at this. Bulls hooked us this morning and sent us airborne like a rodeo clown. All right, coming right out of the sell zone, just airborne over the seller's chop zone, airborne over buyer's chop zone, landing in the overbought zone, and then we just kind of popped in and out of the door here between overbought zone and buy zone right here, and consolidated right up there in this area in the bullish overbought buy zone area. So bulls hooked us and sent us flying just like rodeo clowns. All right, so there's T21.22 bullish right there. Let's take a look at T21.23, see if any of that transcends into the T21.23. Again, this is the 15-minute T21.22. Here we go, T21.23. You know, I'm still looking at a comatose, flatline, cardiac arrest, mini bull flag inside of a whopper bear flag. All right, where the fabric flag is 10 times longer than the flag pole. I mean, it's just laying on the ground dead. So I'm not seeing anything. We're back at the 200. We were under yesterday. You can see a little bullish activity there, trying to transcend that falling 200. Not seeing any success yet. We do have some candles up there. That's not a convincing transcend from the falling 200. So we'll see what happens. You look at that from a distance, and that is a bear flag. And then we've got one thing to worry about. You know, you stay here too long, and investors and hedge funds start to get weary about holding on to inventory because we're not bouncing. And we're not bouncing because we're not getting certainty. And, you know, you only want to hold for too long. I mean, it's all about the performance. And you're not getting any performance in this flat line, okay? You're still horizontal. All right? When you're vertical and you're walking, okay, that's different. Right now, it's horizontal. All right? It's not going anywhere. We're not making any higher highs yet on T21.23. It's just a flat line right there. All right? Still got some bearish gaps here that need to be filled. Big, you know, you could put a freight train through there. All right? Another gap there, another gap there. A lot of bearish gaps need to get filled. Not seeing anything happen. Not seeing any higher highs yet. All right, let's take a look at the 3-bar. Again, you got the same bearish gaps. It's the same product, just on a 3-bar chart. Again, you got the same bearish gaps that aren't getting filled. You're not making any, see this? You're not making any higher highs. All right, it's a flat line. It's a little mini bull flag inside a whopper bear flag. All right. Again, 3 more red candlesticks right there. All right. Still underneath this falling 200. Still underneath this fading 200. Underneath 2 prior all-time highs. All right. And underneath the all-time high way up there. Again, flat line. I don't see any V-bottom bounce. It's just down and over to the right. Okay, it's not looking good. It's not looking good. Today looked good for SPY. All right, but that's it. That's it. If you look at the others, yeah, they all had green days, but look at the position. They're still all in quadrant 1 or just barely breaking out of quadrant 1. Nothing's really happening. I'm not convinced bulls are back in town. All right, so there's T21.23. Let's look at FNGA. Again, we're still underneath 200 SMA. All right. So yes, we did fill a bearish gap here. That's one day doesn't make a trend. All right. Okay. Didn't make a higher high. See that? There's the high. Didn't make a higher high. All right. Made a lower low yesterday. All right, we got a bullish trap gap that didn't get filled. That's good. Looks like buying from the beginning to the end of the day with a 3 martini lunch followed by a 2 chaser beer right there. So there's FNGA. All right, still underneath the 200. Nothing really spectacular happening here. It's a bear flag, if you ask me. It's a move down and over to the right. I'm not seeing any signs other than little higher lows. Little higher lows, okay? Not. I want to see some higher highs. Like I want to see somebody take out that 450 high. I want to see somebody take out that 400 high, okay? I want to see somebody take some highs out. It's not. There's a 350 highs. So we're not taking out the 350 high. We're not taking out the 400 high. We're not taking out the 450 high. Okay, we're down here in the 300s. It's not what I need to say, hey, the bulls are back in town. Okay, so there's FNGA. All right, it's looking good. All right, on paper, but all in all, we need to see higher highs. Got to see higher highs. Got to get up on top of this 200. Got to get up on top of this all-time high anchored VWAP too. All right, that would mean a lot. Okay, just get over the 200 first. Start making some higher highs. There's FNGA. We follow FNGA. It's got 10 of the most heavily weighted securities in the QQQ and the SPY. Wherever this goes, pretty much price is going to follow. And of course, we got earnings coming out this week, next week, right now. Tesla reports tonight. Bad earnings could send this into more of a fall. All right, we'll see what happens. There's FNGA. All right, let's take a look at some sectors. All right, first sector we'll look at XLE. It's energy. Again, see lower third. All right, we're still bearish. All right, downtrend. Yeah, we took out this low, made a lower low. That's a downtrend. All right, price action. A little higher high, higher low, closing over a bearish trap, but still under the falling 17, still in the lower third, still underneath downtrend line 1 and downtrend line 2, and the 3-year high anchored VWAP, or that's the 12-month high anchored VWAP right there. Okay, so there's XLE. Nothing happening there. Not yet. Okay, let's take a look at USO. All right, USO doing a little bit better than XLE. All right, USO is no longer in the lower third, so it's neutral. Okay, you go down, you give it up, you're neutral. Same thing if you go up, you give it up, you're neutral. Price action, higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap, closing over the flat 17, closing under the 3-year high anchored VWAP. That's the 2022 post-COVID high anchored VWAP right there for USO, oil fund. All right, so heading back to the midpoint right there. All right, so just neutral, but not just barely in neutral land. Okay, got to remember yesterday we were in bearish. All right, so we just popped up, we just poked our head out of the turret, looked around, and we don't know what direction we want to go into yet. Okay, so there's USO. Let's take a look at UNG. All right, lower high, lower low, closing under bearish trap. Okay, it's in a downtrend, lower highs, lower lows. All right, closing underneath the falling 17, underneath this 12-month high anchored VWAP, underneath the midpoint, in the lower third, that's bearish, and in a downtrend. Okay, you go up, you give it up, and more, that's bearish. All right, let's take a look at GLD. GLD puts in a new all-time high today. Okay, new all-time high right there. GLD doesn't get any better than that. Let's take a look at SLV. SLV got a outside day, higher high, lower low, closing inside a bullish trap over the flat 17, over, okay, this is a 6-month and a 12-year high anchored VWAP right there. Okay, closing over that 12 year high anchored VWAP and the 6-month up here in the upper third. Okay, so that's bullish. I like it when they go up and they hold the higher ground. Okay, it's holding the higher ground. That's bullish up there in the upper third. Still in a downtrend, just not moving down. All right, again, it's just a label. Okay, they got themselves in a downtrend. They took out this low, this low, this low, this low, that low, and that low. There's like 5 different lows there they wiped out in 2 days. They're in a downtrend. They have to take out that high in order to negate the downtrend. All right, either that, make a higher low over here, and come back and take out that high. All right, again, it's just a label. They're in a downtrend, but they're not moving down. They're moving up. All right, they got more up days than they do down days. Notice the down days, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. From there, the rest of these days are all up. So there's silver. All right, let's take a look at SMH. All right, if you need a decent rally to occur, you're going to need SMH, and you're going to need technology. Okay, never seen a big rally just on transports and financials. You're going to need some sort of sales. All right, you're going to need technology. All right, and technology pretty much leads almost every rally. And if we look at technology and the semiconductors, right here, you've got not a very big candle here. It's green, but it's not very big either. Higher low, higher high, closing inside a bearish trap, under a falling 17, under an all-time high anchored VWAP. Down here in quadrant 1, that's bearish, making, lower highs and lower lows. That's in a downtrend and bearish. Okay, you go up, you give it up and more, that's bearish. There's SMH. Okay, nothing happening there. Let's go check out XLK. Big brother to the semiconductors is the technology sector. Okay, big brother here is a little bit healthier than SMH. Higher low, higher high, closing inside a bearish trap, under, see the red dots, under the falling 17, under the all-time high anchored VWAP, still in the lower third, that's bearish, all right, and price action is still in a downtrend, all right, because they're making lower highs and lower lows, still in a downtrend, XLK, so we need to see something from SMH and XLK. All right. Other than that, all bets are off. Yeah, the financials might rally, but we're not going far. Okay. And maybe the transports rally. You're going to need to sell product in order to get the transports to rally. All right. And if no products if technology's not getting moved or sold, or money's not changing hands, I really don't see transports making leaps and bounds just off of consumer staples. All right, tomatoes, lettuce, French fries, ground beef, that's just your regular everyday staples. Fruit Loops, cereal, you know what I'm saying? All right, you got to move the tech. Got to move the tech. All right, and it's not happening yet. All right, so there's XLK. Let's take a look at XLF. Higher low, higher high, closing over bullish cross, over 17 EMA. Nice work. Under the all-time high anchored VWAP, over the midpoint, we're neutral, okay? You go up, you give it up, you're neutral. You go down, you give it up, you're neutral. You can see us right here at the midpoint. All right, so financials are ready. Not really ready, but kind of ready. They're better off than some of the others. All right, let's take a look at transports. Transports are trying higher low, higher high, closing inside a bearish trap. Okay, we need to see bullish traps. Underneath the falling 17, underneath this pink line, all-time high anchored VWAP. All right, got a little mini bull flag inside of a bear flag. We've all seen that before. So there's transports still stuck in quadrant 1. All right, that's bearish. You go up, you give it up and more, that's bearish. All right. And then price action, still in a downtrend. Lower highs, lower lows. So still stuck in a downtrend. Okay. So nothing's happening yet. Maybe they put something together this week. We'll see. All right. Right now, we had one bullish day. Let's not get excited. All right. So there's IYT. All right. That's it for me for today. Tesla missed. You know, they were setting up a bearish wedge. I saw that. I was tempted to buy some calls before market, like a debit spread, a bull call debit spread. And I saw this bearish wedge right here. And I said, I don't even want to mess with that. I think the next move is down. That's what fund managers are telling me. They're telling me we haven't made a higher high in a long time. Not since, well, it's been a while since we've made a higher high. You can call that a higher high right there off of, but that was easy to beat. That's like beating the 2-year-old at chess, okay? That one's nothing. This is the one to beat. They didn't beat that one. They didn't beat that one. They didn't beat that one. They didn't beat that one, okay? So you whooped up on the 2-year-old. Nothing really to see there. You really can't pat yourself on the back for that. All right, everybody. Everybody have a wonderful evening. See you guys all tomorrow, 8 o'clock in the morning. Let's do it again. Let's make some profits. Let's just see where Tesla is after markets. Everybody have a great evening. Thank you. And post-market. Well, they missed. They're not moving down, but they're still in that bearish wedge. We'll have to wait and see what happens tomorrow. Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Lorraine. Thanks, Brad. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Fred, Roger, Rickster, Lorraine, Alpha, Robert, everybody. Everybody have a beautiful evening. Thank you.